Murphy's Law. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Jim Mercurio. Jim, how are you? Nice to
Hey,
see
how's it going,
you.
man?
Thanks for doing this.
No, thanks for having me on.
Oh, no, no, thank you. Seriously, because we're a new channel, so it's really cool to have some talented people on. Um, just before we get started, would you like to tell the people who might come across this in the future a little bit about yourself?
I've worked kind of like on the fringe of the entertainment industry for years. I made a handful of low budget indie movies. Along the way, kind of teaching myself and learning from the process. Because I always say it's like it takes just as much energy. You learn just as much making a bad movie or non-scene movie as you do like major blockbuster. So I kind of made my living the last few years being a consultant, teaching, helping people with their scripts. And I wrote a book a few years ago, the first ever screenwriting book on screenwriting,
Mhm.
and that's brought me some clients and stuff. So I don't know. I just stay, you know, in the radius of filmmaking and screenwriting as much as I can.
And what made you get into like screenwriting? Like, was it a love of film, a love of writing?
In college, I just took a major that was there, but I was getting kind of bored with it, and I started taking other classes. Started taking film classes,
Mhm.
and at the same time, my best friend from like growing up, he was in Hollywood, like trying to make break in and stuff. So I was always kind of keeping an eye on it. But I kind of like had a contrasting look. It's like I. I'm somebody who I saw Annie Hall before I saw Star Wars, so it's like I didn't come to film with like the same like childlike wonder. I came to it later with like the intellectual curiosity, like, wow, this stuff's brilliant. So I don't know. I just started falling in love with movies, and then I ended up just getting through my undergrad and then going to grad school for film and filmmaking, and then I moved to Los Angeles. After that. So Hollywood's a tough, weird business, especially now. So I just did what I could to kind of stay in and around it.
What year did you go to Hollywood or to California?
Early '90s, 91.
That would have been a cool time to been around Hollywood. As tough
Yeah,
as
it
it,
was fun.
yeah.
There are a couple stories on Medium about my time then.
Yeah, I better show people your book. I read your book. When did I read your book? I think maybe 5 or 6 months ago. I read it.
You
Uh,
survived.
yeah, well, anyone who knows me knows that I'm a terrible reader. Uh,
Yeah.
it's the craft of screenwriting.
No, scene writing.
Oh, excuse me, scene writing.
That's okay. No, it's the first book ever that like focuses just on scenes.
You're right, cool. Yeah. So my brother and my wife know this about me. Like I love writing, but I'm a terrible reader. I can read, but when I get a book, I don't like read it in a week or in 2 weeks or a month. I get stuck on a chapter
Mhm.
or even just a paragraph where I just keep rereading that same chapter back, back, back. Is there any like scene in a movie where you've had an experience like that where you're like, God, I need to get to the bottom of that scene?
Um, Well, first of all, the whole process of like, not reading with perfect comprehension, I have ADHD, so I'm kind of the same way. So like in a way, that's kind of how I wrote it. Like each chapter to me is like a standalone, almost beginning, middle, end. You could like now pick like if a topic interests you, you could go back to that chapter now. With just a vague idea of what you read before and just read it, and it would be a complete experience. So I think probably in some ways I was writing it like that so that like someone could pick it up, dive in almost anywhere, and like that would give them coherent lesson. I don't know. That's the thing. It's like if a scene is working on all cylinders, usually I'm totally engaged. And it's like magical. It's just like that gets my full attention. But like if things are a little bit off, and maybe that's why I was good to write this book. Like if anything's a little bit off, false, artificial, contrived, different, I'll usually notice it and it'll kind of bug me and kind of like push me out of the scene. So that's why in some ways, like my lesson in the book is, maybe it's not, I don't say it explicitly, but it's like unity. It's like making sure,
Mhm.
your thing is doing what it's doing. And if you understand that what that is, making sure that it's not doing anything else. Like it's just good at doing what it's doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. So the next question, you mentioned that Hollywood was pretty tough, like, or it's a tough business for everybody. One thing I wanted to ask you about, not necessarily Hollywood, but say people who, you know, they might not necessarily want to go to Hollywood or New York or London, but those are kind of the hubs where they have to be in order
Right.
to think that. What kind of advice would you give to, say, young people in the writing world who want to go into that business? Is there a route one can take, or is it really just look at the draw and talent?
Okay? So let me start kind of years ago with what I knew. It was
Mhm.
like, I mean, to be a TV writer, it's almost impossible to not be in Hollywood because that's what you do. You're there, you're in the room, you know.
Mhm.
Um, uh, there's some possibility to be a screenwriter because you sit at home, wherever, in the middle of the country, you write amazing screenplays, maybe get noticed in contests, then you get a rep, and they're probably not super interested in your career, but they love that script and they want to sell it. Because the
Mhm.
second they sell it, it's not yours anymore. Like, you're off the project. So like, you're not a hindrance. You're usually not attached. You don't have control over what happens. So it's like, a lot of times a manager or an agent will love a script and they'll say, okay, I'll go sell this. And they sell it. So that might bring you out there. That might give you interest. That might get you meetings. But
Mhm.
that's possible to do. So screenwriting, yes. But the problem is the industry now. Okay, so like in the 90s, I think I said this to you before. In
Mhm.
the 90s, there was a year when they sold, where Hollywood bought 170 spec screenplays that people write on their own, you know, in speculation that it could sell or do something. And last year, by the same source that gave me the 170, I think there were like 11 screenplays that sold from, like, lucky writers winning the lottery, and probably some of those are still, have baggage too. Like, the guy who wrote the tennis movie with Zendaya, the kind of the hit
Golden.
movie, the Challengers, I think
Okay.
Challengers.
I know.
Anyways, yeah, but I mean, like, it's like, well, you had a CIA agent, they had a hot director, they packaged it together, and then it was a spec sale, but Zendaya was attached and producing. So it's like, yeah, if that counts as one of those 11 films, it really is. It's really, really hard to kind of, like, even break in anymore. That's why, like, I started a pub about screenwriting on Medium, but I kind of emphasize it's about storytelling too, because, like, these skills, if you're thinking only about screenwriting, it's a long shot. It's kind of like feeling like a lottery. So the skills are very important. The skills help, but you know, the idea of, like, oh, I'm a screenwriter and I'm gonna risk all this stuff to be a screenwriter, it's tricky. I mean, you can stay at home and write good scripts and become great before you move to LA, or before you start, marketing yourself. But yeah, so as a screenwriter, maybe. As a TV writer, probably not. Not.
Right.
I mean, maybe if you write an amazing pilot, but then it's going to get sold, you're not going to be there to do anything anyway. So, same
Yeah,
same
yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned Medium there. That was my next question, where
Okay.
you obviously had the book, you do teaching on the art of screenwriting. But you recently, what I don't say recently, in the last year, we could say you started writing on Medium.
Yeah, in November, I think.
Right. So Medium is an online platform where writers can go put their stuff up there. People read it, they can earn from it, and you
Yeah.
can also learn a lot there. So going from what you used to do, which was okay, you wrote a book, but you also worked in I guess, film and TV. Uh,
Yeah, I made some little bunch of films and I've written screenplays.
so what's it like being on Medium now, where it kind of feels like you might get more eyeballs on your work? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, okay. So a couple of things. The thing about screenwriting, a screenplay is like, okay, especially nowadays, you write a screenplay, you put your 100 or 1,000 hours into it, and it's a document about 110 pages, 100 pages, and it's like, okay, now you're just going to find a company, group of people who want to put in a couple thousand hours and millions of dollars into it
Right.
to appeal to people. And if not, well, it's going to sit on the shelf until 3 years later, or 2 years later, or a year later, you write another screenplay, and
Mhm.
maybe that's the one. And if not, so it's like, it's never done. It's like you're always writing these blueprints for films, but they
Right.
just kind of sit there. But what was cool, and I did something related to Medium. Well, no, I did something that, unlike that, gave me like some kind of feedback. I wrote a short play for a friend, kind of like a really audacious role for her, just to, like, showcase her, because it's, if you're in the Midwest and you're a good actor, it's not like Hollywood's knocking down your door. And it won a small contest. And they're going to do a reading of it, which is really cool, because I wrote it to be just like two people on a stage in a dark room at a table. And it's like, oh, so we did readings of it, like, kind of prepping for it. And it was like 90% of what the play would be like. We really felt it. It kind of came alive. So it was cool that, like, I wrote it, people liked it, and then it was kind of performed where I got to see, like, an audience interact with it. That's the thing about Medium, is that, especially when you get boosted or if something goes mini viral, you might get thousands of eyeballs on it, It's
Mhm.
like, okay, maybe you make $50, maybe you make 100, maybe 10, I don't know. But the point is, it's really exciting. I mean, yes, I'm a junkie to the notifications. I want to say, "Oh, I got a new clap, I got a new read." But it really is satisfying if you know hundreds and hundreds of people are
Mhm.
reading your article and like it, and then you look at read ratio. It's like, oh, most people who came to read this, they stuck with it. They actually liked it. It kept their attention. So that's kind of good and fun because I find like a lot of my skills in screenwriting that didn't have a place to go end up being useful, in medium, like just
Right.
clarity and brevity and suspense and turning points and stuff. So I don't know. It's been kind of fun and rewarding. It's been cool that like you can get immediate feedback and sometimes good feedback, but you just get like immediate like responses, and sometimes you can interact with the audience. So that's kind of exciting because you know filmmaking. I do it for free if I knew like they could always get like distribution and get out there to
Right.
millions of people, but it's a tough business. So
Right. Yeah, I never really thought about medium that way in the way like of a play, where you get to write it, then prep it, practice it, and then produce it, and you get to see the audience interaction with it. That is something really cool about, say, putting your work on things like Substack or Ghost or Medium. Um, Tell us about your pubs on platform, your publications. You have
I just have one. I have one. I mean, I started it because there really wasn't a black hole of like stuff was missing. Screenwriting and storytelling. Now, screenwriting and storytelling is pretty narrow, but that's why I went from just screen. Right, here you go. Just from screenwriting to screenwriting and storytelling because I want to get other people in the other people kind of like able to go in there. So it's definitely a niche, and they just what's that? Is that our boosted section?
no, this
Yeah,
is just
yeah.
screenwriting.
Yeah, but you just click on, I think that's the boosted section. So the cool thing though is we got lucky. We had like 10 stories in the first couple months boosted, which meant I can attract writers in. It brought followers in. So we're up to a couple hundred followers after a couple of months, which I'm not competing because I don't even know what I'm competing with, but like I'm kind of happy about that. I feel like it's doing, sort of well. I just remind people that the storytelling aspect can be really wide. It could be psychology or teaching or training. Like I don't want to do like novel writing or prose writing, but any
Right.
kind of like anything applicable to game writing or role playing games or anything that has to do with storytelling. I would accept that because it's kind of narrow, but it's still like a little bit different from what other places on Medium do. So yeah, I don't know. I've enjoyed doing it, and also I got accepted to the Boost nomination pilot program
Oh,
if that's
fantastic.
if that's what
Yeah.
it's called. So I mean, I only get in probably 2 stories a month that I could possibly boost,
Hmm.
but it's good just to know that I can advertise that, and I have to figure out a way to put it on my site or create an article about boosting. But like now, I can say, hey, writers, look, if you write something really good, maybe even take some of our notes. We'll nominate you, and you could end up getting, a lot more viewers, a lot more decent money in
Right.
the program. So hopefully, I can attract more writers. And yeah, just this week, I had two kind of really experienced, good talented writers, send something in. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. The boosted program for people who aren't familiar is basically if you write something that's good and maybe the editors of the publication you submitted to they also think it's good, then they will nominate it to the medium curation team, and if they think it's good it will get pushed out into the algorithm. It'll be given a little boost, like they say.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because I remember when I got my first boost back in January, I think it was almost like kind of lighting the fire. It was like, oh, this is cool, and it really kind of helps a writer take off. So it's a great initiative.
I mean, from a dopamine perspective, like, getting like 50 times the readers and
Right,
maybe 10 or 20 times the writers, that's exciting. That's good. And that's like, partial reason why you stay on Medium. But it's not, I mean, it's not just the winning, the ego, but it's also like you want your stuff to be read. You want to know you're impacting people. So like if I know I'm going to get 500 or 1,000 eyeballs extra on it, or it could go mini viral and I get 500,000 reads. That's exciting. That's kind of like why we write, why we tell stories. So like one of
right.
my comedies got on Slackjaw, which is the biggest comedy pub on Medium, and it was like I don't know 6 or 7 8 weeks ago. But it kind of went mini viral this past month. So a month later, it started getting 100 reads a day, and it's still going strong. Now it's not making me a whole bunch of money, maybe $5 a day, but it's like it's exciting. It's like every week 1,000 new people are reading it. So it's like the algorithm is like, well, people seem to like it. They
Yeah,
start reading it, they finish it, no no complaints. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the subject matter is kind of like embarrassing. I mean, it's about a guy who's kind of a jerk or kind of weirdo. So it's like people don't respond to it. I feel like they'll feel like I'm that person or something.
They
So not a
feel
lot of people responding to it, but it's getting a lot of reads. So that's exciting.
yeah, there are so many different types of writers out there, and when you came up with the idea for your publication, I was like, God damn it, yeah, that's a good idea because I've never seen that on
Yeah.
Medium. Maybe there could be someone else out there, but it could be
There
some.
is one person doing a lot of it, but it's like it's kind of stuff he's done on the outside and kind of throws it in there. There's no one actively doing it. But the thing is, though, maybe that's appropriate. It's like screenwriting isn't necessarily a really practical, feasible in some way, profession to aim at. It's like it can be part of the equation, or it can be good training. But it's like, it used to be back in the 80s and 90s, spec scripts, and even people in Harvard would like come out to Hollywood because it's like they were selling spec scripts based on concepts, and it was like, ooh, gold mine or whatever. It was like a magical place. But now it's like it's kind of shut down. It's like franchises, reboots,
Right,
you know, intellectual property like that. So you can't even fake people out or sell them on a hope or a dream. It's not even enough there to like trick them into coming out and doing it. So
yeah,
the amount of people who will commit to that or maybe train for that is probably going down. So that there might not be a huge audience for it. I try to remind people that everything I talk about in the pub mostly applies to other writing too.
right.
So I feel like some of it's, I mean, some of my strength is very, very specific, like going to screenwriting, but the principles will definitely help you in other kind of storytelling.
Yeah, that was my next question for you about like how you can transfer those skills into other aspects of storytelling. So, what was something that you learned from screenwriting that helped you in your writing on Medium? Because like, all right, you're very good at hitting the beats in your story. You're very good at like cutting the fat off the story, getting to the point, only leaving in like what's needed,
Yeah.
what's good. Um, Writers like me who just started off writing, just stories, we maybe we're a little bit full of ourselves where I'm like, no, 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 every word is important. Like every sentence is important. What from screenwriting can help writers like myself? Like, what can we learn from it?
You can just play back those last 2 minutes. I think you answered it maybe.
Okay, you should
But no,
say
no,
it. You're
actually,
the expert.
I'm playful. I'm being teasing. But like, okay, something I wrote in the how to write for the pub. I said, we want your words, but not about words.
Okay,
It's like the skill of taking words and crafting them together in prose and narrative, or prose and like fiction is a skill. But storytelling talent is something different. It's taking things of life and action and character and pushing them together to like tell a compelling story, to create conflict, move things forward. So it's like storytelling is a little bit different than writing. Millions of things in common, but I'm kind of like looking for people, because like the Writers Co-op and there are other places on Medium that talk about writing a novel, or the prose and the words. But I like to focus more on the storytelling part of it. Like you said, cut everything out, be very efficient. The beats of the story as opposed to the words. So yeah, I feel like that is an approach I do in my writing, but also I'm trying to like spread the love of that, or show people why that's such a good kind of principle.
right,
Because I just read somewhere something like screenwriting will show you your flaws in your writing very quickly, because you
right,
can't really bullshit. Because if like you bullshit, it's like, okay, that scene can be thrown away, or that's not relevant. That's 3 pages. That's nice. It's fun. Those characters are funny. Cut it. It doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? It doesn't do anything. So I feel like the idea of momentum and clarity and of story beats and stuff, I think that's a good attitude to look at things. Sometimes people tease me because I'm like, get to the point. And I understand sometimes you want to massage the point or take your time, or that's part of like your voice. But like a lot of times, especially for like inexperienced writers, it's like you are taking 3 or 4 times as long as you need to get to the point,
right,
which
right.
takes away from the next point and the next point, which takes away from the whole narrative. So it's like a lot of times, I think I said this to you somewhat playfully, sometimes you can make your piece better with a red pen. And
Right.
you take a lot of my notes, you cut stuff out, but like I find myself with like the good writers in our writers group, um, the very first thing is you can be more efficient.
Mhm.
It'll already be like 3 times better just by
Right.
cutting out 10%, 20% of the words.
Yeah.
Um, because then we
Well,
get to the point of it.
I never, sorry to interrupt you, but like I never find that I miss the cuts.
But
Does that make sense? As in like I'm a little bit kind of like, ah man. But then when I cut them, I never miss them.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah,
it
that's
never
smart. Yeah.
haunts me. You know, they're gone.
And I think I've done this with you. It's like I'll look at I don't know, 120 word paragraph or something, whatever, 100 words. And I'll say, Peter, I think the thesis of this is blah, 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 blah. And I'll put in 8 words. And I'll say, okay, now that's overkill. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
don't feel like, oh, I'm rewriting you, or I'm going to steal your voice, or I'm doing it for you. No, I'm not. But you tell me what's missed in these 8 words, and then
yeah.
put them back in, and you're going to find there's 28 words, or 42 words, or
Mhm.
50 words that like do the exact same thing. But because you do it the same, probably even better. But if you do it in half the space, it's already better. So it's like just by like cutting out the fat, you can improve your writing like on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think everyone can learn from that. But let's shine the spotlight back at you.
Okay.
What can you learn from writers who want to take their time a little bit more? Have you ever written anything where you've kind of like, God, I would have maybe an extra adjective here to describe this character or an extra sentence here to describe this situation? Do you
Well, no, it's never going to be about sentences and paragraphs. It's going to be about
ever?
I missed a point or I missed a beat. Like,
Okay.
or I should have moved the story in this direction first or
Right.
farther there.
Mhm.
Not thinking in words. I think I don't. And that's the thing. Like sometimes my drafts take a long time, and you've seen some of my ugly rough drafts. I am not that good with words. I mean, I'm okay. I'm a good. I mean, I can rewrite, and I know kind of what I'm aiming for. But that's almost like fabricated by the flow of the story that I create. And I'm
Mhm.
kind of vomit mode. Well, not vomit mode, just like an ADHD kind of like free association, not really pretty, but like the flow of it. And then when that's in place, then I'll go back and work on the words. And for screenwriting and rewriting, I know you just rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. I know what it needs to look like. I'm not shy about reconsidering, taking notes, and like redoing and redoing and redoing. But ultimately, like words are kind of hard for me. Like my drafts don't come out like you know flowers. They come out like chunks of stuff that I kind of shape almost like a film. Like I'm editing. I'm also editing like
Right.
physical pieces of like the story, like slices of
I
film or
kind
film
of feel
strips.
it feels like that. I've never been on a film set, of course, but like I've watched enough documentaries to know that like it kind of feels like you're handing yourself notes. You know what I mean? Like in the editing,
Me or anybody? What do you mean?
like no, like you are actually there's another you that's like handing the notes in the editing room, and you're like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, and you're sticking it back up all together.
yeah, probably,
That's a
yeah,
really interesting way to go
yeah.
about
I
it.
mean, I think of like your first or second draft as a documentary. That's
Right.
footage you have, and
Yeah,
you cut
yeah.
it and just what you need. You put it together so it's like a boom, 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 boom. But it's like okay, a lot of stuff will be on the editing room floor, but you pick the best stuff out of there and you juxtapose and you clash them, and you collided them to tell an interesting story.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some not quick fire questions, but you can take as long as you want with it, or and you can also just say yes or no. It's
Okay,
completely up to you. Um, so I'm assuming you've seen a lot of films.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Not recently. I've been kind of tapering off, but yeah,
Right. Okay. So in your book, you focus on scene writing. Okay. Um, what do you believe is the single most important element that makes a scene truly memorable or impactful?
ah,
It's a hard one,
everything.
I know. So
I mean, there's 400 pages of there, but I would say the stakes and the reversal, like
yeah,
like how important it is, and then surprise. The scene is like a story. It should have an expected but surprising or unexpected but possible, trick that gets you out of there in a really fun way. That does 2 things: it moves the story forward, but it also affects the characters.
okay.
Because that's another thing is making sure that you both the story and the characters are affected at the end of a scene, which is to do with stakes and like the reversal, basically.
Yeah, and by the way, if you buy Jim's book, which I truly recommend, you go through this in the book. There's like a
Yeah,
dedicated to it.
I mean, and guess what? It's like $8 on Kindle on Amazon. So
Yeah, no, but
it's
it's a
doable.
good buy. It's a good buy. It got me through so many spring walks in the park. I just put it in and just listen to it. Um, so let me have a look at my next question, see if make sure I haven't asked. Ah, yeah, about teaching. So have you learned anything about the process through teaching?
Oh yeah, I mean, I like sometimes you get vilified, like oh well, if you're a teacher, you can't do, or I'm
Oh
a
yeah.
consultant, so it's like oh, you guys are all scam artists, and it's like I say, look, if you want to sell your script for $1 million, if you want to like get an overnight, get rich quick scheme, you want to learn screenwriting like in a week and like sell something, I'm like, don't come to me. I can't do that. I can focus on craft. I can help you get better understanding this, and I will literally like fight with you. Fight for you. You see me like be difficult. Like, you know what? I'll say to somebody, this isn't ready. It's just not. If you don't know how to get there yet, let's keep going or keep writing stuff and exploring, or take a class, listen to this, let's watch some movies together. Like this can do better. So I like to kind of like get in there and fight and be impactful in people's lives, because otherwise it's like, well, it's kind of boring. Life is boring.
Yeah.
So your question was, what have I learned? Yeah, I mean, I like teaching. I think like I'm a pretty good teacher. There sometimes isn't a great opportunity because like not everybody knows that I'm this great teacher. Also, because I have an MA rather than MFA, teaching in the junk programs are kind of difficult, and also the junk programs are so like the nature of the politics of education. It's like, okay, if I want to teach a class at a full university and I'm an adjunct teacher, I don't have tenure, I don't have a guarantee of anything, I don't have any insurance, and I'm making like $2,200 to teach a class that's a regular teacher's probably making 10,000 to do.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem like there's a whole lot of opportunity there. So I do it privately. I do people one-on-one, and I charge a lot probably compared to other people out there, but it's like I also very intensely give you all of my time. So if you can take 40 hours this month and finish your script and you want feedback along the way, I can do that. If it needs to be
Right.
spread out over 6 months, fine, same price.
Mhm.
We'll do it. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm good at it. I'm intense. I kind of wrestle and fight with I mean, not fight like I want to win. I just fight like Socratic method. Like, I want
Yeah.
you to understand this. I want you to see what I think this can be better. Now, if I'm wrong, sometimes fine. But a lot of times I feel like, yeah, I'm usually kind of right, and people kind of eventually
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. But
You might be
Jim,
frustrated.
nobody goes to the gym to get and gets a personal trainer. Like nobody wants a personal trainer that's giving them cupcakes. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
screenwriting, sometimes people pay me a lot of money in hopes that I say it's good to go, or I'm going to go help them sell it. And I mean, if you write the most amazing script I've read in the past 10 years, I probably have places I would send to their friends I would read as a
yeah,
favor, but like I don't promise to anybody that selling or marketing is any part of what I do, because the best thing I can do for you is if you have a great, amazing script in you, I can help you write that. I can get you there faster. And then probably the script does its own work. It makes fans, it wins contests, it attracts people. The log line might even help, attract people. So yeah, I try not to like oversell or sell anything other than teaching you the craft to become a better storyteller.
okay. So I think I can get maybe one or two more questions in. Um, I want to mention your piece in Slackjaw and also your Money On pieces on Medium, which are humor publications. This is something that I struggle. Well, I don't struggle with it, but I think about it. Like, say, your satire, your humor, there's like a dark blend of almost there's sincerity to it, but also, it's satire. It's not real. How
Right.
much of yourself do you put into it?
I always put a piece of myself in. In fact, I kind of keep getting in trouble because like the Slackjaw piece is like about a creepy guy, but I
Right,
tell it from his perspective of like he doesn't quite know he's creepy. So he's
right,
saying this stuff that almost sounds like a little bit like misunderstood. And then it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then by the end, it should be clear, like, oh yeah, this writer's pretty good. Like and it's like some people get that. And someone just gave me the compliment yesterday that made my day. She was like, oh my God, this is so good. I totally get it. And this guy's really true to life. And like, but you kind of nailed him. I was like, yeah, well, thank you for doing that. Cause I feel like sometimes people like they misunderstand me, that they get mad at me, or they criticize me for my values, and I'm like, if I tell in a first person, like as a character, it's not me, like
right.
true to life, yes, it's part of me.
Yeah,
Like that piece in Slackjaw is I work with a hottie, but I don't make it I don't make it uncomfortable at all. And it's
right,
like, this is the word hottie. Like, what the fuck is going to say hottie? But it's like, so it's right there. But I don't make it uncomfortable at all. I mean, like, the character, am like, I'm not creepy. I don't make things uncomfortable, but I use things like, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that thing's gone crazy. I've had like 2,000 views on that in the past like few weeks.
yeah,
And it's like the guys don't want to respond because they'd be like embarrassed to like be associated with it. A lot of people don't comment, but it's gotten like, I don't know how many claps. Okay, so it's got like 2,000 claps, but it's got 2,000 reads. It's only got 54 comments, but once again, it's got 2,000 reads. So it's like, I think it makes people uncomfortable, but I'm kind of happy because it's like, I think that's a sign of like some storytelling talent.
right.
Now, that might also be my screenwriting skills coming through. Like, to do monologues, to do dialogue, to do in character, point of view. So, sometimes I look at like Jane Austen's Wastebasket and Kyrie Gray, and there are people who do canonical, classical satire better than I do.
Mhm.
But my stuff always has an edge to it. Sometimes it relies on character and theme and like a certain, subtext to it. So I do kind of what I do well. It might not be as, great or classically what satire is or the comedy genres are, as some of the other people. But yeah, I definitely feel like my screenwriting skills have like bled over into my satire.
All right, cool. All right, well, we are unfortunately running out of time tonight. I wanted to keep this one with Jim short and sweet because I kind of want to do a part two with you maybe in another 2 weeks
That's
because
fine.
or 3 weeks because I kind of feel like there's a lot more we could go into,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do just one big hour and a half where it's hard for everyone to kind of.
You had mentioned maybe doing like, this in two pieces. Are we going to be done for today right now?
Yeah, I think we'll be done for today, and then
That's okay.
in
Leave them wanting more.
exactly. Leave them wanting more. Leave them wanting more. Because there's other stuff that I'd like to talk to you about. Maybe that's not medium related.
That's fine.
More about say new writers, and we mentioned earlier about screenwriting. Trying to create something, a project, a piece of art, and try get it in front of studios' eyes. Even just as a learning experience, I think that would be a cool thing to kind of talk to aspiring writers about. Obviously, it's something I'm interested in as well, and you are. So I think that'd be a really cool topic. Okay, so we've just got a minute left. I'd like to thank Jim for coming on. I really appreciate it. Remember, he's got a book on Amazon. I'm going to leave it in the link below. I'll leave the link to his Medium page and his publications. So, Jim, any last words for the audience?
No, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I read your stuff, and what we do is, different, but like you're a great storyteller too. And I'm glad that where I can see, I feel like you appreciate my storytelling skills, which ours are different, but I feel like they come from the same principles. And like, I'm happy that you get what I do, and I appreciate the time
Thank you.
exploring it with me.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel like if we ever did like work together in another life or in the future in a parallel universe, I really do think I would be the one that would have all your post-it notes taped all over me, kind of saying, cut this.
No, you definitely have a screenplay in you, and it's like, yeah, I definitely see your approach to character and your point of view and your voice and stuff. I think this is probably screenwriting. There's probably a screenplay in you.
I think there's a screenwriter in all of us. Thank you so much, Jim. I'm going to end it,
Cool.
okay?